Oh my, baby. What is up, everyone? And welcome to another edition of Kevin and Zach React. The Baltimore Ravens move to 5-2. Yes, 5-2 with a 41-31 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Man. Score obviously is a little closer than really the game was. The Baltimore Ravens, after the first quarter, honestly pretty much had this game under wraps for the entire game up until that late push in the fourth by the Buccaneers. But besides that, absolute dominance by the Baltimore Ravens. Started down 10-0. I'll be honest with you guys. I started getting a little nervous. But not Lamar Jackson. Not this team, not this offense. I think at one point, 34 unanswered points. 34 unanswered points by the Baltimore Ravens after falling down 10-0 in the first quarter. Just pure domination from that point on. Let's talk about some stats. Lamar Jackson finished 17 of 22 for 281 yards and 5 touchdowns. We had ourselves a Jackson 5. First one in, years? I can't even remember the last Jackson 5, but nonetheless, another Jackson 5 for Lamar Jackson. I'm going to declare him the front runner for the 2024-2025 NFL Most Valuable Player. So I think Lamar Jackson, MVP type level, but he was not alone in his dominance. Derrick Henry, it was funny. They were talking about Derrick Henry in the late third quarter or fourth quarter, and they're saying hasn't had much of an impact. And I actually talked about this on the show earlier today. I said, take Derrick Henry over 83.5 rushing yards, and don't be worried if you look up at halftime, if you look up halfway through the second quarter and you see he's got like 6 carries for 15 yards, for 20 yards. I said, it's going to happen. All it does is he chips away. He mentally breaks you. And then what does he do? 81 yards untouched, goes 81 yards, take it inside the 10-yard line. Derrick Henry finishes the day with 15 carries for 169 yards and the touchdown reception. Derrick Henry, once again, you can call, we'll call Lamar Jackson the MVP of the league. Derrick Henry is far and beyond the offensive player of the year. All I know is Derrick Henry is the offensive player of the year right now, and I don't think it's close. Derrick Henry is running away figuratively and literally with the offensive player of the year. Just pure dominance. Average, at the end of the day, he averaged 11.3 yards per carry. 11.3 yards per carry. Let's add on to that. You had Lamar Jackson, 9 carries for 52 yards. Zay Flowers, the 1 carry for 19. Justice Hill, 5 for 4 yards. Offense ends up running for 244 yards. This team, when they are running, I mean, this was just once again another day where the offense puts up over 500 yards, 508 yards. This team, man, this offense is looking really damn good. This offense is looking really damn good. They're looking balanced. You see they had 30 carries. They had 22 passes. So running more at the end, obviously, it takes into account when they're just trying to run out the ball. That's the final 3 rushes from Justice Hill. But overall, Matt, I couldn't agree. Couldn't agree more. Monken for president. Todd Monken, baby. Todd Monken, when he puts the playbook in the trousers, Good things are happening in Baltimore. This offense is rumbling. This offense is stumbling. And this offense is absolutely firing on all cylinders right now. This team is playing incredible. Offensively. Offensively, this team is playing incredible. We did see some big, I think, improvements defensively. I think there were moments. Obviously, Marlon Humphrey goes down, gets injured, but he had 2 sacks beforehand. Joe, the more you bring it up, the more I think I have to go as Monken. The more you bring it up, the more I think I got to go to Halloween is Todd Monken. I think it's going to have to happen, guys. I think it's going to have to happen. So, but before we get onto the defense, because I know that's kind of where a lot of the talk is going to be. Like I said, 31 points. A lot of it is garbage time. So overall, I think the defense played better. Obviously, if you start down 10-0 and then you allow the offense to score 34 straight points, you're doing something right. Marlon Humphrey with 2 picks. Defense was playing well. Roquan Smith in coverage wasn't the best, but overall, Roquan was all over the field again. It looked better. But let's finish off the offense. Rashad Bateman? Let me say it again. Rashad Bateman? Yeah, Batman. Rashad Bateman, 4 receptions for 121 yards and a touchdown. You guys want to talk about someone who had themselves a night? We talked about it all week. We've talked about the past 2 weeks, honestly. Rashad Bateman is starting to get some swagger to him. He talked to the press earlier this week, and the biggest thing people took away from it wasn't what he was saying. It was how he was saying it. He was talking about how he and Zay always get open. And it's not just him saying, yeah, me and Zay get open. There was a confidence to it, a confidence we have not seen from Rashad Bateman in his tenure with Baltimore. He and Lamar Jackson are finally getting that chemistry together. And I'm telling you, he and Lamar, we all know Bateman's separation ability. He's always top in the league. He's always a top 10 separation guy in the league. He's always top 5. Hell, he's been top 3, top 1 at times. The thing about Rashad Bateman is he's going to separate from the damn cornerback. It was all about whether or not he could get on that chemistry with Lamar Jackson to really use his abilities. And I'll tell you, 4 receptions for 121 yards and a touchdown. One beautiful ball by Lamar Jackson on that deep touchdown for, I think it was 49 yards. Another just incredible game. But let's look at Rashad Bateman real quick. Tonight, like I said, 4 receptions on 4 targets, 121 receiving yards and a touchdown. You go back to last week against Washington, 4 receptions on 4 targets for 71 yards. The week before, he was 4 receptions on 8 targets for 58 yards versus the Bengals. Let me do just some quick math. Oh, wow. Rashad Bateman is over. Is he over? Yeah, he's over 200 yards, over 300 yards. No, 250 yards. My math is horrible right now. Yeah, 250 yards. Rashad Bateman over 250 yards in the past 3 games and a touchdown. I'm telling you, Rashad Bateman, we talk about, obviously, Lamar Jackson's always going to be the centerpiece. He's the star. Then you're always going to have Derrick Henry. He's going to be, like I said, he's front runner for Offensive Player of the Year. He's having an insane year. He's always going to get the next stuff. Then you're going to get, we're going to talk about this, Mark Andrews. You got Mark Andrews. You have Zay Flowers. You have Isaiah Likely. Rashad Bateman is that X factor. Rashad Bateman is that guy when he is going well, when he's doing stuff like this, takes this offense to a whole new level. Rashad Bateman is doing a damn good job silencing the haters, because there were a lot of people when Rashad Bateman got an extension sitting there going, why the hell did the Ravens extend Rashad Bateman? I thought we were looking elsewhere. This is why, because they saw this in him. They see his ability to get open. If they know if he just is able to get that chemistry with Lamar going like we're starting to see, these are the results. It's never been an issue with skill or getting open for Rashad Bateman. The dude knows how to do one thing, and that's get open. Never in his career has Rashad Bateman ever had an issue getting open. It was always just whether or not they could get him the ball, whether or not he was on the same page as Lamar, whether or not he was given opportunities early enough in the reads to be kind of that go-to guy. We're seeing it more the past few days. And my God, are we seeing it from Rashad Bateman? Next up, we had Justice Hill, 3 receptions for 44 yards. He has been such a weapon, pass protection, getting the ball out of the backfield. Man, Justice Hill's an absolute freak. But let's get on to the next guy. 4 catches for 41 yards and not 1, but 2 touchdowns for Mark Andrews. Is he back? Let me know in the chat. Yes or no, are you bought in on Mark Andrews being back? Because let me tell you something. Yeah, both touchdowns, the one was wide open. The first one catches it wide open, has to make, a little bit contact to get in the end zone. Not too tough. His second touchdown, wide open lob. Obviously not too tough. But the one that made me sit there and say, oh, crap, here he is. That sideline catch. That sideline toe tap, find the feet somehow in the green catch by Mark Andrews was the epitome of what Mark Andrews has been for Lamar Jackson. It's a guy that you put it near him and he is going to find a way to catch it. Kieran, I love it. That toe drag swag. Also, Kieran, we're pretty close on your prediction. What you had I guess 41. You had 34 for the Ravens. So a little off. I'll give it to you. The Ravens scored more. So we'll always celebrate that. But yeah, if Andrew stays healthy, they'll be very dangerous. I completely agree. He adds a dimension to this team that really is. And Matt, yeah. This and the last 2, Mark Andrews have been solid. He was in a car accident. They never really, they said he was good. He practiced right after the car accident, but then he was kind of iffy, wasn't really practicing for a few days. Actually, I think he got all the way up to a week. Not really sure how that impacted him, but I'll tell you one thing. It looks like Mark Andrews is all the way back. And if Mark Andrews is all the way back, who do you stop? Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman on the outside. You have Isaiah Likely now a fully healthy, back, dominant top 3 tight end in the league, Mark Andrews. This offense, man. Keep putting the play sheet in the trousers, Todd. Keep putting the play sheet in the trousers because I'm telling you right now, this offense has been disgusting. Let's just real quick look over the offense. Tonight, against the Bucs, 41 points scored. Last week versus the Commanders, 30 points scored. The week before versus the Bengals, 41 points scored. The week before versus the Bills, 35 points scored. The week before versus the Cowboys, 28 points scored. Ravens have scored above 20 or above in every single other games. But over the past 5, during this 5-game win streak, you go 28, 35, 41, 30, 41. Twice you've scored in the 40s. 4 times you've scored over 30. 1 time you got 4 touchdowns. Say what you want about the Ravens, and I completely agree. The only thing that can stop this Ravens offense is, the Ravens offense. We saw it today. Fumbles. Completely, they salvaged the one when the ball hit Zay in the head, and then they found a way to get Tucker to hit a 52-yarder, which hashtag back. Justin Tucker never left, but looks back as ever. This offense, if they can continue to not get in their own way, this offense is as dangerous, if not the most dangerous team in the entire National Football League. But what's that going to include? Making sure you don't have penalties. Ravens had 9 penalties for 85 yards today. It felt like every single one of them was a hold on a play that we got at least 8 yards. Offensive line has taken steps this year. I think they did good against the blitz. They did well. Going to have to look at more film to obviously dig deeper into the offensive line to see how they really did. But the biggest thing for the offensive line was you got to get the holdings together. I'm not going to blame Daniel Folele on that Lamar Jackson touchdown run. That was a phantom hold. We got the touchdown the next play, but that was a phantom hold. Don't know where the hell that was. I'm not going to be upset about that. But a few times this team really shot themselves in the foot. I mean, you have 1st and goal from the 8-yard line, then suddenly it's 2nd and goal from the 38. 1st and goal from the 8-yard line, now it's 2nd and goal from the 38. And the one play was an incompletion. It wasn't even like, oh, they lost 30 yards somehow on a – no, it was 3 holds and an incompletion. And I like this. Penalties are like walks in baseball. They can kill you. Yeah, they kill drives, they kill momentum, and they completely disorganize an offense. You know, you're sitting there, you're getting ahead of the change. You know, when this Ravens offense is keeping plays at 2nd and 5, 3rd and 3s and less, they're unstoppable. You know, because you have Derrick Henry back there, you have Lamar Jackson. This offense is insane. But where they're not insane, and actually I'll give them credit, I've been talking about them shooting themselves in the foot. They somehow salvaged a lot of this crap, was they were able to overcome these stupid penalties. These penalties, when they had 3 straight holdings, Justice Hill, or that one was Nelson Aguilar, 28 yards to get as a chip shot right before we go into half to make it a 7-point game. Then you go and you look at the penalties to Ronnie Stanley holds. We had McCary holds. Every time they went forward in that 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, felt like, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's just over and over. That was the most frustrating part of this game, was the penalties for sure. But overall, offense, incredible. Offense is incredible. And I feel Kevin's coming, I think. Kevin's on his way. He had to upload a few things for Locked On Ravens. But he'll be here momentarily. Let's do this. In the chat, we're gonna do one up, one down. Let's do one up, one down. So let's do one up, one down in the chat. I'm going to do my one up, of course. My one up. I'm going to take Lamar Jackson over 300 total yards again. 5 touchdowns. It's obvious if you want to go a true one up. Now you guys could do one ups besides Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson is the obvious one up. He had as many touchdowns as he did incompletions. 5 incompletions, 5 touchdowns. So Lamar Jackson, take a bow. He's the one up. And Lalorix, you know what? I couldn't agree more. One down is Todd Bowles because, listen, I understand it's a 10-point game with 1:30 left. You want to think that you have an opportunity to go somehow pull off a miracle. I get that if you're the Bucs. But here, I want to make this clear. So the new NFL rule with kickoffs is you have to declare that you're onside kicking. You have to declare your onside kicking. It has to be in the 4th quarter and you have to be down. That's the only time you can onside kick. But also, per NFL rulebook, with the new kickoff format, Each team is only permitted to onside kick it twice in a game. What's that mean? Well, with a minute 30 left, even though they were at midfield and they did have no timeouts, even if they scored on the very next play, was it not passed? Because I'm seeing a lot of stuff I was seeing articles about how it was. So if it was, then that would make more sense. But the rule book that I've been reading is that the Cardinals, according to the Cardinals homepage, is that it's 2 per. And I think that was someone said why the Cowboys. So that was apparently, that's what I saw online, was that they would have had to kick it off to us. So just truly all around. Don't know what Todd Bowles was thinking, but it potentially could have cost Chris Godwin his season. Dislocated ankle is their original diagnosis on that final series. He left in an air cast on a cart. The Bucs lost I would say top 5 receiver, Mike Evans. They lost the top 5 wide receiver, and then Chris Godwin is as good of a number 2, if not the best that they got. Yeah, I thought the ankle was shattered. That ankle was in horrible condition, absolutely horrible condition. So, I hope for the best for him, genuinely. But at the end of the day, it's football. It's a contact sport, and I feel like Todd Bowles has to understand that they're not going to win that game. And it was what more frustrating probably for Bucs fans is the fact that even Joe Buck, literally the play before, said, "What are you putting these guys out there for? Like, why are you what's the point?" You know, they're saying, what's the point? You're going to get guys hurt. That play, Chris Godwin dislocates his ankle. Like, you have to protect your players there. Like, I just don't understand. The Ravens already have Josh Johnson in. The Ravens put the backups in. Like, it was not like the Ravens offensively were trying to go down and score all this. It seemed as if the game was pretty much, it was over. So it really was just a horrible way to end things for just a horrible, horrible way to end things for Chris Godwin. I just looked, it looks like it's still. Yeah, it looks like it is completely, it's just dislocated. I saw someone asking for, and I just, for confirmation real fast, diagnosis so far was hamstring was the reason for he was out. And then, yeah, just, it does look like Ravens officials confirmed that they did not pass the 2 minimum, or 2 maximum per. So that would make sense about why that was. So I guess, yeah, they did have an opportunity, which is even dumber, but it's just, and yeah. Evans, obviously, Mike Evans' injury happened during the game while it was still a game. So, and they still had an opportunity. Actually, if he caught that ball, I think it was for the lead. So, obviously, Evans is a different thing. But no, Chris Godwin should have never been out there at that final time. That final drive, Chris Godwin should have never been on that field. So, it's just completely mind-numbing. Nick, what wasn't there over? Yeah, it was a minute 30 left with no timeouts. So while, yes, it's still possible, it's just, it really is. I just don't see it. I find a hard time, with football and injuries and everything, the way everything was going in that game, that some starters had already been taken out, stuff like that. Um, I just don't. I don't see the reason for keeping him out there. I really don't, because stuff like this happens. Any further update on Marlon Humphrey? I have not seen anything. Yeah, so far I've not seen an update on anything about Marlon Humphrey. So I'm going to not make any speculations on that. Hope for the best, because Marlon Humphrey, I think the biggest thing that he does is he's kind of that slot guy. When you get Nate Wiggins, when you have Brandon Stevens on the outside, the best spot for Marlon Humphrey is inside the slot. It's just simply that. When he is able to be in the slot, that's when he does his best work. That's when he's at his best. Obviously, we've seen him play outside corner, multiple times during very long stretches throughout his career. But that when he's in the slot is when Marlon Humphrey is at his best. So that's kind of the big loss for him, would be trying to figure out, if he does have to miss time, what they do in the slot. Do you move down in Ardarius Washington? Do you, there's so many different things that you have to start taking into consideration. Obviously, then you maybe have Kyle Hamilton cover a few more guys in the slot, things like that. So it really would just be a lot more helpful if Marlon Humphrey is just good to go, maybe only misses a game or so. But overall, this team cannot afford to lose Marlon Humphrey for longer than any, 2-3 week period of time, because even coming up next week, the Ravens play the Browns next week, and assuming that Jameis Winston is going to be the quarterback, him or DTR, they're going to come out slinging it. Especially, I believe it's going to be Jameis Winston. They're sitting at 1-6. Jameis is going to come out there and sling that rock. So I would really like Humphrey to be healthy for next week, but at the same time, you got to do what's best long term for this team. I'd rather Humphrey be healthy in January than healthy during week 8. And yeah, Chubb's back. I still don't think he's 100%. He's not 100%. He's still working back. So we'll see what he looks like. Ardarius, man, he has had some, I don't want to call them tough plays because they were right to him, but man, they had some tough looking plays. Ardarius has to spend a few extra minutes on the jugs machine after each practice, after what he's been doing this year. I mean, that's a tough one. But let's go back to the Ravens and Buccaneers. Back today, I want to talk about Baker Mayfield. Obviously throws for 370 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The stats are going to look a lot better than they really were. I mean, he got a crap ton of empty stats, garbage time stats going up and down the field at the end. He probably got 100 of those yards at the end, the final 2 drives. So overall, Baker started out hot. I think he was 11 for his first 13. Really kind of was dog walking the Ravens defense. Their secondary, specifically the first 2-3 drives, it felt like they were going down and nothing was stopping them. And then you get the Marlon Humphrey interception on the 3rd drive. Then you go down, he throws another incompletion, and he started 11 for 13. Next 3 balls were interception, incompletion, interception. So that was kind of that little spark area for the Ravens defense where they kind of grabbed the momentum of the game. Marlon Humphrey, before he went out, completely changed this game. If Marlon doesn't get those 2 interceptions, the first one specifically, they're at least kicking a field goal for 3. They're on the 2-yard line. They're at least kicking a field goal for 3. Then the second one would have been 4th down anyway, but it's the field position. So Marlon Humphrey, dude's playing some great ball. I know everyone's upset. When he doesn't play well, it's the podcast. It's, he's just a podcaster when he's not playing well. He's all pro Marlowe when he is playing well. This is what you want to see from Marlon. This is what you want to see from Marlon. And wouldn't be Kevin and Zach React, which, by the way, hit that like and subscribe button if you're new. Go live after every single Ravens and then Ravens game. We're 5 months from Orioles games, but we'll go live after those as well. Got to bring on Kevin Ostreicher. Kevin, Ravens win. Box score's not going to show the domination that it was, but fun little win for the boys in Baltimore.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm usually not this guy, and I said this over on Locked On Ravens, but I'm choosing to take the positive outlook on this one, man. The offense looks unstoppable. Sure, the defense has some issues, but, I mean, Lamar Jackson looks unreal. I mean, MV3, right? Look, isn't it crazy, man? I'm just the MV3 magnet, aren't I? You got Jokic with his 3 MVPs because I'm a Denver Nuggets guy. Got me being a Ravens guy. Lamar, if all continues on this pace, he's going to have 3 MVPs because, in my opinion, he's the front runner. I mean, hey, man, who on the Orioles is stepping up? Is it Gunner?
That's what I was going to say. It's got to be Gunner or something. So maybe Jackson starts next year. We'll see. We're going to
Could be. Yeah, man. It's look, 5-2 now. We were sitting here after the Raiders game saying, man, this team is in trouble. But the offense is this is the best Lamar I've ever seen, best Ravens offense we've ever seen. We were sitting here, and I didn't know you at this time, but we were sitting after 2019, Zach, and saying, oh, well, when's that one of those records going to be broken? Well, one of those records going to be broken. And now we're sitting here 5 years later, and we're like, oh, well, now this offense is on pace to shatter them. So
this offense makes me feel things I never thought I could feel. By like you said with 2019, like that's the closest, and then obviously towards the end of last year. But the offense this year, we're back to that Lamar Jackson. When Lamar Jackson has to sit on the sideline at the end of games because the Ravens are up by so much, it's a good day, Kevin. It's a good day. Another Jackson 5, like you said, but feels like 2019 all over again. Another Jackson 5.
Man, I love it. I had that meme saved of, like Lamar on the face on the Jackson 5. I had that meme saved. I could not find it. I was like, oh my, where is this meme? Where I had to look up my own tweets, Jackson 5, but I put the number 5 instead of the word 5, so it didn't register when I put in the word 5. So I had to be like, why isn't it showing up? And I tweet every time it happens. I'm like, I don't know where the meme went. But yeah, I was tweeting out. My phone is not processing things right now, and just tweeted out like every single thing I could possibly think of. So
Kevin, I talked about this a little before you got on, but I wanted to bring it back up with you on Lamar Jackson's the star of the show. He always is. He always will be. But how insane is it? Once again, we had Lamar go over 300 total yards. You had a 100-yard receiver. You had a 100-yard rusher. This team, man, and specifically that running back, Derrick Henry, you think you have him bottled up. You think you had him. They literally, the play he went 81 yards, they're talking about, he's gonna, get his eventually. Kevin, I said it on the stream. I said, I'm taking his yards over 83.5. I said, don't be nervous if you look up at halftime and he only has 30 rushing yards. If he only has 20 rushing yards, I was like, he just goes until it happens.
Yeah.
81 yards untouched. There have been 2 plays this year where a running back has gone 80-plus yards before contact. Both of them are Derrick Henry. Shout out the offensive line for that, but also shout out Derrick Henry for having the ability to just make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's so crazy. And I think I said this last week too, that Derrick Henry had a $160 plus today or tonight, technically yesterday. And I'm sitting here saying, oh, that's kind of cool. Like that's like an okay performance. We've seen it all. We've seen him with the 80 plus rushing yard, just on one run. We've seen him with the long touchdowns. We've seen him with everything. And we talk about how numb we are to Lamar every single week. I mean, I'm already becoming numb to Derrick Henry, and that speaks to his greatness. I mean, that speaks to how good he has been for the Ravens this year and how good he's been over the course of his career. And so when you have a guy like that who you don't have to use, and I was going to whistle Farmer in the Dell, but I don't want to get copyrighted like if we did that one time. So I'm not going to. But he's in his Felix Batista era, man. Like they don't use him. What do you have? 4 carries before halftime, 4 carries at halftime,
Yeah.
And they bring him in the late third. Is like, okay, now you've tried to stop Lamar and you failed for 3 quarters. Well, now you have to go and tackle this behemoth of a man who can get to 20 plus miles an hour at ease at his size. I mean, who wants a
6?
Yeah, who wants a part of that? No one wants a part of that. Ed Reed was talking on the Manning cast. I had the Manning cast on because I was trying to see what everybody was saying, because they had Bill, they had Joe Flacco, and they had Ed Reed. And Peyton and Eli were like, man, who wants to tackle Derrick Henry in the fourth quarter? Like, it makes him so effective. And Ed was just kind of messing with him the whole time. It was actually kind of funny. He was kind of trolling him the whole time. And Ed was like, Eli, who's that running back who played for you? Played on your team? Brandon Jacobs. And Ed was talking about how, he didn't care. He had no fear. He was going out there and just tackling Brandon Jacobs at ease. But you get those bruisers like LaRon McClain, Brandon Jacobs, like those old school guys. Fourth quarter, you don't want any part of that. You've been going for 45 minutes. You don't want to tackle those guys. And then when we get to like December, like cold weather games in Baltimore, cold weather AFC North smash mouth football, that makes it 10 times harder to tackle a guy like Derrick Henry. So it's been. I mean, look, I thought that this was a potential route that this could have gone before the season started. I didn't think it was very likely. I thought it would kind of be like, yeah, this is a good signing. Like, it's going to really work. But this has been, like, historic. Like, year one of Derrick Henry's been historic.
That's what I said before. I said, listen, Lamar Jackson is the front runner for MVP, I believe. I think you could argue some other guys, but I think it's obviously only a third of the way in. Things are going to change. But the runaway offensive player of the year at this moment is Derrick Henry. It's not even close. I mean, like you said, it's been a historical first year. Another touchdown, another 160 plus yards. It's insane.
Yeah, it is. And it's this is the reverse of the Orioles broken record, because I'm a broken record in a good way when I say this every week, but it's what makes this offense so dangerous and what makes them so good is having Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in the same backfield, having Lamar Jackson with his arm ability. I mean, they barely used the running game in the first half. It was Lamar just dotting guys up, and that to me is one of the big things where, we've seen different iterations of Lamar over the course of his first 6 seasons, but this is just a different level. For all, I mean, this is some of the best football Derrick Henry's played over the course of his career. What do we say? Well, I think you said this specifically, Zach. Watch Derrick Henry with a good offensive line and a good offense behind him. Because in Tennessee, sure, he had some good offenses, a couple years there, but he hasn't had an offense like this before. And now we're seeing exactly what he can do with this group, and that is dominate. Because with as big as, as much as Lamar can be, Superman, Derrick Henry can, if Lamar needs a break, he can tap in and take that cape from Lamar and say, hey, man, I'll do it too. And in the past, it was, Lamar has to be Superman for 60 minutes. Now it can be a timeshare, a time split.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it's awesome.
Yeah. And real fast, I want to talk about the defense. What kind of were your takeaways? I said before you got on, a lot of empty points and yards at the end by the Bucs. Overall, I think the defense played pretty well. Timely plays. Was it a great game? No. Were there more miscommunications? Yeah. Were there things to work on? Without a doubt. But for what? like 2.5 quarters. Pretty decent defense. A lot of things to work on. I still would like more of a pass rush, but overall, the defense could have played worse.
Yeah. I think, how I put it on Locked On Ravens is I thought they struggled to start. They got it together in the middle of the game, and then they struggled at the end. And Ed Reed kind of called him out. And that's actually what my topic was going to be for, going to record Locked On Ravens. And man, it's going to be out in less than 5 hours now. But the topic is going to be Ed Reed kind of calling him out and saying, this is a team that doesn't know how to finish on that other side there. And, knows how to be a championship team in that aspect of like finishing is important. And I honestly, Zach, I've had a lot of bars this year. Like I just personally kind of tooting my own horn a little bit. I don't do it often, but I have to in this situation. I said, this one might be my best. Garbage time is garbage time for a reason, but it's not an excuse to be garbage. Ooh. That right? Isn't that's pretty decent, right? I think that's pretty decent. So, like, you have to try. And on that, what's the last touchdown when Rashad White literally walked in from
people just were like, all right,
like exactly. Like that's the type of thing. We talk about how I loved John Harbaugh going for it up 17 in the third quarter.
Yeah.
4th and goal. Like it was so disrespectful, but I just loved it. I loved it so much.
Which when you look
it actually proved to be very important at the end of the day.
But if he only kicks a field goal there.
Yeah.
It's
true, but that's keeping your foot on the gas for an offense, right? So the defense should keep that same energy, right? Defense should keep that same energy, and they didn't. And I think it's never been a talent issue on the defense. It's been, Zach Orr's had a rough go of it for sure. But what I said on Locked On Ravens was, who are the quarterbacks they faced? Patrick Mahomes, Raven killer Gardner Minshew, who apparently is just invincible against the Ravens. Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, and Baker Mayfield. That is future Hall of Famers, guys at the top of the MVP conversation with Lamar week after week after week. Now you get Jameis Winston, Bo Nix, another Joe Burrow game potentially, but then Russell Wilson / Justin Fields, and then Greg Roman. I think this next 4 to 5 week stretch is going to show me at least a lot about this team because, you got to beat the good quarterbacks. You got to play well against them. The playoffs, those are the guys you're facing, but that's a gauntlet for anybody. And so can this defense put up dominant performances against lesser teams? That to me is going to be the tell on this defense if they are actually on the right track or if it's just a lost cause and it's going to be that way for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I agree. This defense, I don't think is still good enough to win a championship. But the thing is, we're in week 7. They don't have to be. Like you said, we're going to find out pretty quickly if this team down the line with the schedule coming up, what they can do. I talked about it right before you got on, and you just kind of referenced it. Next week, assuming it's Jameis Winston, that's a gunslinger. He's going to try to go out there and get as many yards as possible. I mean, it's not like teams. This is not the Ravens defense of even last year when it was feared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is, and it's not like a lot of guys are lost. I don't think Geno Stone was a massive loss. I don't think Patrick Queen was a massive loss. Now, would those guys maybe help a little bit here and there? Yeah, but I don't think it's big enough losses for me to sit here and go, they should go from the number 1 in almost every category to bottom of the league. If they had a little drop off and were still top 10, you're like, okay, yeah, new coach, everything like that makes sense. This is tough. This one's tough.
Yeah. And again, part of this is the Ravens have been, for the most part, in very positive game flow for the entire season, which obviously means the opposing offense is a negative game flow, which means that they're going to abandon the run game. And by the way, Tampa ran the ball well against the Ravens, for the Ravens run defense. It was the worst run game of the season for Baltimore's defense. But when you're in negative game flow, if you're an offense, you're going to throw the ball. So for Baltimore's opposing offenses, you are going to see the ball thrown at you. So that's why I don't judge off of total yards. I judge off of yards per attempt. But guess what? The yards per attempt number is not pretty either. So, it's they have to figure it out. I think Juan Soto's up for a Gold Glove apparently. Well, the Ravens DBs are playing like Juan Soto right now, not named Marlon Humphrey. So
he earned his podcast this week. Hopefully.
Yeah. Is that the new thing? Is that what everybody's saying? Is that for Marlon? They're saying you're allowed to podcast this week.
Yeah, people said after a second one,
man,
they said he can do the behind the scenes this week.
I don't even know if he's on. Yeah, apparently he's not even doing the Victory IG,
which kind of scares me about it.
Yeah, that honestly, that is so crazy that like him doing or not doing an Instagram live is like calming or making my nerves worse about him.
Like if he would have hopped on Instagram live immediately. Yeah,
because I'm not seeing tweets about it. I'm not on Instagram right now to see it.
I'm trying. Yeah, I don't. Oh.
Is he? Oh, good.
And we got Eric Henry on. He's live, baby.
All right. Good.
Is it just?
Is that Marcus?
Yeah, they say we're just.
I'm not even looking. I can tell it's Marcus.
That.
I will say. See, if I wasn't hurt, but okay, hey, it's gonna be a good week again. Marlon had two picks. It's gonna be better than the week before. Here he goes. Shout out Marlon, man. Shout out.
All right, that makes me feel better.
Okay,
that makes me feel a lot better.
Good.
Okay. I'm literally tweeting out Marlon's IG live, making me feel a lot better.
Dude, yeah. Oh, and he was like, okay, he was stretching out on the sideline and bouncing up. Okay, yeah, this does not look like it's anything crazy. Like, obviously, we don't know yet, but yeah, seems like Marlon is okay. But again, we'll know more when Harbaugh gives an update.
I'm gonna go look at the. They don't have weekly award. They don't have awards out yet. I was trying to see if they FanDuel or anyone updated MVP rankings or MVP odds. Because I mean, if Lamar Jackson is not number one, you need to put the house on him.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but yeah. Anything else, Kevin? I mean, I feel like it was just a good.
Yeah,
it was a good way to end it. Pulling up Marlon's IG live to see that he's on. I feel like that was a great.
Yeah, good. Yeah, maybe some clips will, if there are any viral clips, those will circulate into the night / early morning as we are now, 1:12 a.m. So yeah, man, no, good win. Keep it rolling next week against Cleveland. First 2-game road trip of the year for them. I didn't even realize.
Yep. So keep it going. That'll do it for us. For Kevin and Zach React, we go live after every single Ravens game. So come here for more Ravens content. We will be going live at some point this week to talk about just kind of everything with the Orioles, stuff like that. We're coming. We kind of figure stuff out. It was a crazy past few weeks, but it's happening. Appreciate you guys. As always, Ravens with a big win, 41-31 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, moved to 5-2 on the year. And we will see you next week as the Baltimore Ravens take on the Cleveland Browns. As always, Chewies.